Welcome back to Lifelong Learning Education. Today I'm excited about my guest who is amazing, and he's going to answer a bunch of my questions and hopefully yours as well. His name is Gary Norris. Woo, round of applause.
I'll take that.
Welcome, welcome. So first of all, tell us why you're in your car, because that leads into one of the many things that you do.
Yeah, no, normally I don't do interviews in the vehicle, but today it worked out that way. I do a lot of real estate investing. I help people invest. We mentor investors. I consult for investors, but I also invest full time. And I'm in between two flip projects right now. And I just was helping my crew get one place unloaded and drove a trailer over to get another place loaded. And I'm like, I'm running out of time. I just got to jump in my car, go find a place in the shade and talk to Trina Boice.
Wow, that's so sweet and so impressive. Before we started recording, he started telling me how he's teaching his son how to invest in real estate, and his son is making a bunch of money. So that's just so impressive.
It's been a lot of fun. I've been doing this for about 19 years, and my daughter, who is now 25, she's joined the family and she's become a real estate agent. She's owned 3 or 4 homes, and she owns a home in Orlando that she has never seen, and she's owned it for 3 years with renters in it, which is very cool. She bought it when she was 20 or 21 maybe. I think she's owned it for 4 years. And now my son is 17 and prepping to go on his mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in about 10 months. And so he's been learning the flipping business, and he's now he's actually a full partner on 2 of the flip projects that we're working on. He'll make about $40,000 this year to help him fund his mission, and he made $15,000 last year. So he's really upped his game, and his goal is to buy a house while he's on his mission that he can rent, which would pay for his mission. So it's kind of fun.
That is very fun and very impressive. So good job, Dad. I'm very impressed. But that's not even everything that you do.
Yeah, thank you.
The reason why I initially invited you to join me today was because both you and I are speaking at the upcoming LDS PMA conference. And that's how I learned about you. And since then, I've learned more about you. And you're specifically going to be talking at the conference about how to get on the airwaves, doing radio and podcasting and all of that kind. Yes, and so you are an author, you're an investor, you are a radio show host. Tell us everything you do. I mean, not everything.
Well, thank you. I'll be more than happy because we got 3 hours, so I'm just kidding. I got involved in entrepreneurship kind of at a young age, doing like the paper route kind of a thing. And by the time I got done with college, and I was a pharmaceutical sales rep for 8 years, I always just had these little business ideas, never really took action and did them until finally real estate intrigued me enough to kind of learn. And within 5 years, I quit my job as a pharmaceutical sales rep and just went into working for myself, doing whatever it takes to make money. And that led me down a journey of entrepreneurship and meeting and networking with people and making connections and serving people. And ultimately, it just means that I've helped a lot of people get a little bit in their life. And then in return, they've helped me get a little bit in my life. And over the long term, it creates just a lot of awesomeness. And I started a radio show up for that very reason. What's that?
I said, I love awesomeness.
Yes, I love awesomeness. So we did start a radio show called, I Gotcha. It makes total sense. The Real Estate Rebels radio show we did live for 5 years in Idaho Falls on the AM radio. And then we took it online and called it the Rebel Entrepreneur Show and talked more just entrepreneurship and real estate. And now it's been fluctuating back and forth from Rebel Entrepreneur to Real Estate Rebels to anything that deals with being a rebel in your industry and doing whatever you can do to improve your life and or your business or your community. And I'm all about helping people find ways to niche in to help them realize that they can make a difference in whatever it is they're doing. And that's kind of the premise of our show, which is now the Rebel Entrepreneur Show.
Excellent. So tell us the difference between podcasting and radio show, because everybody's podcasting now. Tell me, are you doing them both, or how do they work together? How are they different?
Well, when
And
you truly do radio, you're on the radio. And whether that is live radio on the internet or live radio on broadcast stations that are airing in your car, it it doesn't matter. It's still live, so it's not edited, right? And
right.
so when you're live on the air, come what may, you just kind of roll with the flow. And it's fun. It's kind of a challenge. I love it. But when we do our shows that are live, of course, they're recorded and we can upload them as podcasts later. So I do both. We do a live show and then we can host it up into various places on the internet and broadcast it out. So when I was doing my show in Idaho Falls and it was live on the AM dial, we were not broadcasting on the internet or doing podcasts back then, but that was also 12 years ago. And it just wasn't a big thing then. And now everything is done digitally as well. And the difference mainly is a podcast is something you record, you can edit, you can sharpen it, you can do intros and outros, and you can just package it up nice and pretty and then post it. And a radio show it's kind of produced and it's live, and then you can edit it afterwards and post it, or just post it as a podcast with your flaws showing, which is what we do.
So what advice do you have for someone who's a little nervous about getting out there, but wants to advertise either their business, their expertise, a book, whatever it is that they're doing? How do they get started, and what are the, I guess, the
Well,
pitfalls to avoid?
if you want to get into podcasting, I would recommend probably the best known podcast and the man that really set the stage and made podcasting would be John Lee Dumas. And he is the podcaster of Entrepreneur on Fire. And so anyone can Google Entrepreneur on Fire. You'll find John Lee Dumas. And I would listen to his shows. And he always has things that he offers for free, as well as that you could pay to learn. But there's a vast majority of stuff out there that you can get for free. You can start and do an entire podcast and never pay a penny, including hosting it for free, which is what I'll be talking about when I'm speaking at the LDS PMA. And then there's ways that you can get into radio if you want for tiny amounts of dollars. Literally, you could do it for free, because when I did my radio show, although it cost us $1,200 a month, we got to choose whoever we wanted to sponsor our show. And I went and found an attorney and 2 real estate investors and said, hey, I'll let you come on our radio show. We'll interview you once a month, and we'll let you talk. And you just pay me, $400 each a month, and it covered our expenses. And it's an easy thing to do. So there are things you can do. And the number one thing I recommend is get on the internet and search for free podcasting. Don't pay for anything. There are plenty of things you can join for free and just become members and get in different communities through Facebook or the internet and just learn and just be a free lurker to start with and go from there, basically.
That's fantastic advice, and free is my jam. So I'm so glad that you mentioned Johnny Dumas. I actually listen to him every day, not on the full entrepreneurial show, but he does a 3-minute podcast on Alexa. Do you have an Alexa device? You know, the Echo Dots and all of that. And he also Google Home Mini. But anyway, he does this really great little thing. I hadn't heard about him until this thing. So I get on my little Alexa device and I keep saying her name, and she's going to hear me and start talking to me. But anyway,
be careful.
Guided breathing, an inspirational thought, and a moment of gratitude. Boom, 3 minutes or less. And you can do that for free as well. Like I said, through Alexa, because they've got all kinds of flash briefing content and all of that kind of stuff. And in fact, I was so inspired by it, I actually now have one as well called Daily Inspirational Quote. That's my little shameless plug.
Awesome.
But that's a really simple way.
That's an awesome plug.
3 minutes. Actually, mine are 1 to 3 minutes max. Anyway, so back to your interviewing these guys. That was one of my questions is it's great to interview guests like you, for example. What advice do you have for asking intriguing questions to pull out somebody's knowledge and make them shine like a star?
You know, you do it really well because prior to our show together, this recording, you kind of said, here's a list of things I may ask you, but I want to keep it lively and I want to keep it flowing. And it just helped me prepare myself mentally for you. Just reading some questions that you said, be prepared to maybe answer various questions. You never told me what you would ask me, but you gave me kind of a little list of, hey, what's the most inspiring thing you've ever had happen to you? Or what's a great piece of knowledge you could leave to someone else? And those things make you think about your experience. So when we're doing the show, it can refresh in my mind and I can maybe talk about them. That I would recommend to anyone looking to get into podcasting or to be do radio is you want to find who you want to speak with and invite them on your show. And keep in mind that it's always a nice stroke of ego for someone to be asked to come on a show. And I love it. It's a stroke to my ego. And yet I ask people to come onto my show. And I know that some of them, I wouldn't say a stroke to their ego, but it's complimentary, right? And they know that you're going to share your show with your group of people. And I know that they're going to share the show I had them on with their group of people. And it expands my network and it expands their network. So it's a good give and take. And it's really a really good way to, for free, grow your presence and build your brand as an expert in whatever you're talking about. And it could be anything, literally, it could be anything. Underwater basket weaving could have a podcast. I know a super successful podcaster, and all she talks about is aquaponics, making, in your backyard, you create a tank where fish live and plants live, and you harvest the fish, and it's just like it's like a little environment you create in your own backyard to raise tilapia, for example. And it's a super successful podcast, and she monetizes it and makes money from it. And I think that's fantastic.
Thank you for bringing up monetizing. I wanted to ask you about that. What advice do you have? Because I know a lot of people will spend time and energy and their own money getting out there on the airwaves. How do you monetize?
That is a good question. Now, I'm not an expert in that because I could monetize a lot better if I take the time to figure that out. But I could easily say the best way to monetize yourself is by not trying to monetize yourself. Just get involved to do what you're doing. Here goes the fire truck. Sorry about that noise. Get involved with what you're doing. You didn't? Oh, that's good. Well, he just went flying by, so we're safe. Monetizing comes when people share it on social media. So when I interview, you're interviewing me right now, and I'm going to share this to all my friends when this is recorded, and it's going to be on my different various real estate groups. And these people are now getting to know you and your show, and they're going to go click on your link, Trina, right? And they're going to maybe go, oh, she interviewed another person that's exactly related to my wife's interests. And now suddenly you are getting monetized or spreading your bandwidth is growing, my bandwidth is growing. And I'll have people call me that want to do real estate with me from other states because they've heard me on podcasts, right? And I can't pay for that, but that is monetizing. Now, another way you can monetize it's true monetizing is you have people sponsor your show, your podcast. I did that when I was doing live radio. We had 3 sponsors, and then we would do events too. We would actually do events to where people were invited to come to event and learn about real estate, learn about entrepreneurship, learn about creating wealth. And at that event, you have an opportunity to serve them or provide them free content and an ability for them to purchase products or coaching or something, maybe a course, and maybe it's done online and not in person, to where you've established yourself as an expert and you can offer some things that would give them even more value. But the key is, don't hold back on your free stuff. Give everything you can on your free stuff and know that people will see what value you bring, and they're going to think to themselves, well, God, this person is going to charge me $97 for this online course. I think it's going to be a bargain because I think for free I've gotten more than $97 worth of stuff out of it. And so wonder what they're going to give me for 97 bucks when I pay for something. And then when you give them and deliver a $97 product, make sure that that product is worth about 500 bucks or more in value. So when they get it, they're like, this is amazing. There's a guy that he gives me so much free value. His name is Chris Record, that when he launches a product to help me be better at my social media marketing, I lay down 500 bucks. And when I got his program, I'm like, I would have paid 3,000 bucks for this. So when he had another program that was 7,000 bucks, I bought it because I figured I'm going to get more than 7,000 bucks out of it. And you know what? I felt like I got well more than 7,000 bucks out of it. So the key is to give value. Monetizing will come if you're giving value.
Yeah, you make an excellent point to over deliver always, and to come from a position of giving and sharing. People don't like salesy people who clearly just want to make a buck, but people are drawn to those who want to give and share and support and lift and all of that kind of stuff. So I think that that's excellent. So I have another question kind of along those lines, and that is with lifelong learning education. I like to ask my guests, what is it that you're personally doing to become better every day in what you do? You know, either in the radio business or the real estate business. What, I don't know, daily morning rituals do you have, or daily habits to try to make yourself, I call it leveling up, or one next level better?
Yes, that is a good way to call it, is level up, and just, well, one of my mottos is be good and do good, and good will come back to you. That's my mantra.
I like that.
With that, it doesn't cost anything to do good. It doesn't cost anything to be good, and it doesn't cost anything to have good come back to you. But in the mode of your question, what can you do and what have I done to help me be better? I didn't start out investing money into myself. I started out investing time into myself, because time is a resource, and it is the most expensive resource, but when you have time to learn for free, do not spend money, use your time to learn, and eventually you're going to find areas that it's going to be worth your time to invest money in to better yourself, whether that's personal development betterment of you, whether it's hiring a coach, whether it's joining a mastermind, whether it's getting more education directly related to your niche. That's all good. But the best thing you can do to start, if you're starting, is to take your time to get into the weeds of your niche and learn as much as you can for free before you spend money. I just am a big believer in that. For me, that's what I did. I started just learning about real estate on free internet websites. And eventually I dabbled and I spent money here and there, and so that wasn't worth it, but this one was worth it. And eventually I found stuff that served me better. And I spent, it's crazy because I don't hesitate to say it now, but it's crazy. But in the last, since 2005, so 15 years almost, I've spent well over $100,000 in personal coaching, mentoring, etc., on myself and my business, whether it's group coaching, mastermind, going to classes. I've spent well over 100,000, but I've made well over $1 million. So it pays off. But you don't need to start that way. You just need to start with making daily habits that you are consistent with, and that could be hard enough as it is, right? And if you could do that, and you start your mornings with a power hour. For me, my nighttime is my power hour. A lot of people, it's their morning is their power hour. For me, I shut my mind down at night. It relaxes. I review my day. I review what I'm going to do tomorrow. My mind can go to work and kind of rest and recharge, knowing that when the morning comes, I'll be up and at it. Other people just get up earlier than I do, and they do that in the morning. And for me, I'm not there yet. I do it my way, which works for me, and that's okay. Some people might do it in the middle of the day, but it is important to do it personally every day for yourself.
Yeah, great advice. So what do you think are some of the roadblocks that entrepreneurs face, whether they're starting off in real estate or going the podcast, the radio way, whatever their industry is? And I have a variety of listeners that are authors or publishers, editors, singers, musicians. that are looking to get out there and turn their passion
Yeah.
and their talent into a business. So what do you see are the roadblocks?
The number one roadblock, this is a super easy question for me to answer because I upset myself at times when I think about how I didn't do it because it's so easy to fall into this trap. And you've heard the saying, 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready, and 4 to go, right? We've all heard this. Yeah, but that isn't what we do. We're conditioned to do 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready, 3 to get ready, 3 to get ready. I'll do it when I get out of college, 3 to get ready. I'll do it when I get married. I'll do it when I get my job. I'll do it when the kids are in school. I'll do it when the kids are out of school. I'll do it when I'm freaking retired. And I'm just going to go to my grave and I never did it. And that is the worst thing you can do. Just take action. I remember when I wanted to do my own radio show, it was crazy. I heard colon cleanse commercials on the radio for 30 minutes a day in the morning in 2005. And they were talking about people's poop, size, shape, color, and buy a pill. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. And then it dawned on me, someone's paying for that time and someone's calling that number and they're making money selling pills that cleanse your colon. So I called the radio station and I said, can I buy infomercial time? And they're like, well, yeah, well, how much does it cost? They're like, it's $1,100 for an hour, 1 day a week, whatever it was. And I'm like, if I do it, do I have to do an infomercial or can I talk about whatever I want? They're like, we don't care. You can talk about whatever you want. Can I get my own sponsors? We don't care. You can do what you want. You come to the studio. That's how I started my radio show. And I just went and I did it. And it was embarrassing. I didn't know what the frick I was doing. Thankfully, I went with a friend. And the three of us said, well, you're a real estate agent and I'm a real estate mortgage broker and we're all investors. So why don't we just kind of just talk about real estate and invite people on that we love, admire, and respect and hear their perspective and do it on the live radio. And we did it. And we did it for 5 years. And we literally, it came to me because I was tired of hearing poop commercials on the radio. Seriously. So the best thing you do is just take action. You don't have to get it right. You just have to get it going. That's another saying I harp into people's minds. Just get it going.
Yeah, I like that. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just get it going. That's so true. They say that 1% of success is the idea and the other 99% is the execution of the idea.
So true.
In fact,
yep.
A couple of days ago, I interviewed David Bradford, who's the CEO of Fluent World, who is also going to be speaking at the LDS PMA conference with us. And he said a quote, and it's been just percolating in my brain ever since. He said, the world...
There are some reminders for Trina.
Oh, that's my voice assistant going off now. It said, the world is full of dreamers, which is great. The world is full of doers, which is great. But what the world really needs is dreamers who do. And I thought, ooh,
I heard that.
That's good. It kind of takes it to another level.
I watched that today, this morning. I watched you interview him this morning on YouTube. And when he said that, I'm like, oh my gosh, what a great aha moment for myself. It was really a good one.
Yeah, I like that too, obviously. So out of all of the things that you've done, what would you say is your proudest accomplishment? I know you've raised kids, in the middle of raising kids, so that's probably number one.
Yeah, really for me, besides take family and religion out of it, because those are the number two most important things. I think the most thing I was most proud of was sticking it through college to get my 4-year degree. Back in the day when everyone said you should get a 4-year degree. Now I'm not a big believer in it like I was that as much for people. It's totally up to people and where they want to go with direction. But for me, I was the first in my family, my parents, my grandparents, my greats that I know of to get a bachelor's degree. And on my wife's side of the family, it was just like an expected thing. And if you don't even get a doctorate, we'll question you. So, and not really, I'm kind of exaggerating to draw two parallels, but for me, it was such a big thing to get that 4-year degree that took me 6.5 years to accomplish, that it was probably the most important thing I was proud of, even though I've never used it in my professional life, but it taught me that I can do something and stick to it. And that was probably one of the best things I've learned, which I think is important for anyone. just the fact that when you commit to doing something, find a way to finish it, and you'll be bounds ahead in your own life, personally, mentally, and comparatively to other people.
That's really great. I'm obviously a big proponent of education. However, now, and I didn't believe this before, but now I am more in line with what you're saying. I grew up where you have to get your bachelor's degree, and then my sisters and my brother and I were getting master's degree and on a doctorate degree, and my dad was like, I'm not paying for this. Why are you guys keeping on going? And so, of course, I continued that with my kids. But I had a son who just said, I don't want to go to college. This is stupid. This is a waste of time. And he was actually studying animation. And I said, no, you've got to get that degree. And he actually got hired before he finished his degree. He did get his degree finally, but he got hired without a degree. And I was like, it kind of blew my mind. Like, well, how do you do that? How does that happen? And of course, he's in a very unique field. He actually is an artist that designs video games. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I love what you mentioned earlier about investing in yourself, whether it be through masterminds or taking online courses, which I offer at lifelonglearningeducation.com. That's another shameless plug for me. But how the online training has just opened up the world to people, because you can go online and for free find experts like yourself on YouTube. And that's such a great way to get a free education. I love that.
That is true. I totally agree with you. Formal education is very important, and it serves a great purpose. But admittedly, it isn't for everyone. And for those that don't go, it doesn't mean they're not worthy. It means it's just not for them. And for those that do go, it doesn't mean that they shouldn't have. It's for them because they're going. But there's trade schools. There's, you can learn so much and niche your skill set to a point where you really can create a wonderful living for you and your family without having the degree tied to it. But if it's important to you, you need to do it. And I don't disparage anyone from doing it, nor do I disparage anyone that chooses to do it.
Right. All right. So we're kind of talking about two different industries because you're an expert in so many things. So how do you see the industry changing in real estate, and how do you see the industry changing in the radio, we'll say radio/podcasting world? What should people be looking for? What do you see propelling those two industries forward?
Well, let me just touch on real estate, and then I'll kind of harp on the other. Real estate always is changing. It's up, it's down. There's wins, there's losses. It's an up market, a down market. There's crashes, there's growth spurts. The important thing to know about real estate, if you're an investor, is you need to be educated, and you need to know that you can make money in an up market and you can make money in a down market. But you can also lose money in an up market and you can lose money in a down market. So the key with real estate is to be super knowledgeable. And if you're not, connect yourself to those that are. With podcasting, with radio, this is just something that's started out as kind of a side hobby to me to kind of get me the leads I want for my other business. I found out that I loved it though. I don't do YouTube because I got a face for radio, right? So when you have a pretty face, you can do YouTube. I don't have a pretty face, so I got to do radio. And but the medium is awesome because you can express yourself. Now, where's it going? Well, no one would have guessed, 7 years ago, or for sure 10 years ago, that there would be such a thing as podcasting. Now there's hundreds of thousands of podcasts. Where's it going to go? It's kind of cool. I can turn on my car radio and I can just choose my podcast. I can listen to my own shows on iHeartRadio. So that's a neat thing. I think it's going to boil down to, how are you going to stand out from the clutter, the bandwidth? That's such a big bandwidth. How are you going to stand out? Well, you don't need to stand out. All you need to do is stand out in your little niche. You just need to stand out. If you're talking about, I do vinyl lettering with Cricut vinyl machines, and that is my niche to make crafty things, there's plenty of people in that niche that will love to learn from you. You just need to go serve that niche and they will find you. And you can have a lot of fun. You don't need to have 11 million followers. You just need to have people that like to follow you in the little niche you have. And I don't know where it's going to take us. In my mind, though, it's the thing to be in my mind. The thing to be in is in some type of digital, a digital forum with radio, YouTubing, Facebook living, podcasting, to where you're getting your message out and you're putting your brand out there for the niche that you're trying to fit into. And it can be small.
Right. And actually, you made another really good point just now when you said you don't have to have a bazillion followers. Of course, there is a little bit of a numbers game. However, rather than big numbers, what people are looking for now is engaged community. So like you just said, people will find you. They have a specific question or problem they want solved, and they'll find you. And if you're there to serve, which I love that word, they'll find you. And that's kind of the big marketing buzz right now, is to engage your community. Right?
Yeah. I mean, real estate is such a huge bandwidth of real estate investing. You'll never get found if you're doing a podcast on real estate investing. But if you want to do a podcast on lease options in real estate investing with single family houses, now you've narrowed the niche down to where it's just like one little strategy that people are searching for that, and they will find you. I'm part of a YouTube or a Facebook group that's just subject to real estate. That's all it is. And there's about 10,000 people in that group, but they only talk about one little sub strategy of real estate. And that's what you need to do, whatever it is, whether it's you're an author, you're a speaker, you are a coach, a life coach. You just need to narrow it down to a sub niche that people will search, so you can serve them in that niche, so they can then get to know you, so you can serve them in other areas.
Yeah, that's great advice. Thank you. All right, I know you've got to run off to the next house here, the next project. So real quickly, where can my followers find you? I mean, you're all over the place, but give us a few websites, URLs, Facebook names. Where can we find you?
Probably. You can find me pretty easily on Facebook if you just go to rebelbizman.com. Rebelbizman.com. I think take you right to my Facebook. You can do Rebel Biz Radio, and you'll find me at Rebel Biz Radio as well. So those are two great ways to find me. But I love helping people and just connecting people to opportunities and helping their mindset just become better. And it's just fun. I love it.
And becoming a rebel. So what's your last advice for people who want to become a successful rebel like you?
If you want to be a rebel in your industry, you just need to do what others aren't willing to do. And that's all it is. Like, a rebel's going to go call a radio station and try to get a pooping commercial off the air so you can do a radio show. A rebel is going to do whatever it takes to get your name out that's legal, ethical, and fun, but just do it in a way that sets you apart. And that's what I mean by being a rebel. Just, you got to stand out. Whether you stand out, however that is for you and your personality, that's what it will be. And there is no right or wrong way. The right way, well, there is no right or wrong way as long as it fits your personality and it's legal, ethical, and fun. Those are my rules.
And not fattening.
Non-fattening, is that what you said?
Yeah, and not fattening. I always throw that one.
That's true. I'm a guy. I'm fat enough, so we're good.
Well, thank you so much for spending some time with me and with my viewers. Be sure and subscribe. I'm here at Trina Boice, and you can also find my Movie Review Mom channel. Go hunt for Gary Norris and all of his expertise. And thank you again so much for sharing a little bit of your knowledge. I know you've got a lot more to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Trina. It was fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you.